Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
Cousins murdered in Falmouth. Investigators attached to the Major Investigation Division in Trelawney have commenced a probe into the shooting death of two cousins along Peel Street in Falmouth, Trelawney, yesterday. The victims have been identified as Fabian Williams and his cousin Siobhan Williams, both masons of Grants Bailey District in Brownstown, St. Anne. They had been staying in Falmouth up to the time of their death. Reports are that about 2:30 a.m., the men went to a shop to purchase items. While on their way back, they were ambushed by armed men who opened fire, hitting them multiple times. Residents who overheard the gunshots summoned the police, who found Fabian lying on his back in a pool of blood along the roadway. He had gunshot wounds to the face and died on the spot. Siobhan, who managed to run a short distance away, was discovered lying in the mangrove with multiple gunshot wounds. He died while being treated at Falmouth Hospital. They had reportedly been involved in construction work in Falmouth. The Trelawney police indicated that they are yet to establish a motive for the double murder. "We are working with several leads and are hoping to make a successful breakthrough over the course of the weekend," one senior investigator reported. Since the start of the year, 21 people have been murdered in Trelawney. No word yet on whether cops want SOE extended. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang has indicated that he was unable to say at time if the state of emergency declared last Friday for St. Catherine would be extended beyond the initial 14-day period. Chang said he would have dialogue with the parliamentary opposition if the security forces asked for an extension of the measure. He made a statement on Thursday in Garden House in response to queries by Leader of Opposition Business, Philip Paulwell, who questioned the source of the cook-up in the tabling of the wrong regulation in Parliament on Tuesday. The government needs a 2/3 majority in both houses to extend the SOE. It comfortably has the number in the House of Representatives with 49 of the 63 seats, but required at least one opposition vote in the 21-member Senate. The government has 13 representatives, including the Senate President in the upper chamber. But St. Catherine South Member of Parliament MP Fitzjackson said the government has not engaged the opposition in dialogue. However, Chang explained that if the heads of the security forces recommend that the measure be extended, he would contact opposition leader Mark Golding before the new regulations are debated on Tuesday. He said that the Commissioner of Police will give the opposition a full intelligence briefing on the events in St. Catherine to underscore the need for the declaration of an SOE there. Chang said that persons comprising the SOE Appeal Tribunal have been selected but have not yet received their instructions from the Governor General. The National Security Minister also told parliamentarians on Thursday that several gangsters have been detained since the declaration of the SOE in St. Catherine. However, he made it clear that they were held and charged under the Jamaica Constabulary Force Act, not under powers in the regulation to accompany the SOE. Most of them have been charged because there are charges that could be laid, and I think a couple are awaiting identification parade. Nobody is being currently detained under any clause of the regulations, Chang stated. MPs were hastily called to attend Thursday's sitting following a blunder involving the table of the wrong SOE regulations that contained provisions that were struck down as constitutional by the full support of courts on June 17 in the case brought against the state by taxi operator Roisin Clark. Clark was detained unlawfully under the 2018 SOE declared in St. James. He was awarded nearly $18 million in damages by the court. Chang tabled the new regulation Thursday, revoking the previous one that triggered alarm and embarrassment for the administration. An investigation is underway, and Chang warned that someone will be held accountable for the follow-up. 16-year-old to answer for ammunition found in bag during security check. A St. Elizabeth teen is set to answer to charges under the Firearms Act after he was formally charged by detectives on Tuesday. The 16-year-old boy was arrested last Thursday when a 9mm round of ammunition was found in his school bag during security checks. He was formally charged with illegal possession of ammunition after being interviewed with attorneys and his parents present. He will appear in the St. Elizabeth Family Court on Monday, June 27. No new policy. Minister of Finance Dr. Nigel Clark has shut down an announcement from his colleague Investment Minister Albin Hill that investors would get an extended tax holiday if they invested in the long talk about Cayman Special Economic Zone (SEZ). In mid-June, Senator Hill, who also has the industry and commerce portfolios, had said that investors in Caymanas would receive special benefits to include no income tax charges for 50 years. In contrast, by lease, you'll get this wonderful piece of land, he added. But sources at the Ministry of Finance had indicated that this offer is incorrect and out of line with the Special Economic Zone Act. On Thursday, Clark, in response to reporters' queries on the matter, said there are no new fiscal benefits contemplated for the Special Economic Zones at this time. He added the fiscal benefits that already exist and that are set out in the Special Economic Zones Act are the ones that will apply to any new SEZ. The Caribbean Business Report learned that resulting from the widespread publication of the Caymanas offer, existing SEZ operations, numbering dozens, have been making inquiries as to whether or not they have been missing out on these special benefits. The SEZ, a project planned and developed in conjunction with the World Bank and local planning authorities, is based on the proposal for the best uses, industrial, ICT, transshipment, commercial, worker housing, and more on a proposed 1,200-acre site. The project targets private developers and operators under the rubric of Jamaica's CES and PPP policies. The plan for Caymanas draw a best practice link to a transshipment hub globally. Hill's offer of tax-free benefit for 5 decades has attracted widespread international attention. In an article entitled Long-Term Tax Benefits for Investors in Caymanas, says the United States-based Washington Informer on June 22, quoting the Jamaican Information Service JIS, stated, potential investors, developers who decided to operate within the proposed Caymanas Special Economic Zone CEZ in St. Catherine, Jamaica, will enjoy tax-free benefits for an extended period of up to 50 years. Hill spoke on June 16 to global investors from the World Free Zones Organization's annual international conference and exhibition 2022 held in Montego Bay from June 13 to 16. As part of the conference, investors participated in the Port Authority of Jamaica PAJ Investors Tour of CEZ, Sports and Logistic Facilities, which began at the proposed site of the Caymanas CEZ. Currently, more than 650 acres have been proposed for industrial and commercial spaces related to logistics requirements. The Washington Informer, quoting JIS, again added, Hill further noted that 50 years without any tax on dividends will be beneficial to the developers' investors who can arrange to have as many business operators rent their property as they will have a long-term lease that will be renewable. However, on Thursday, June 23, Minister Clark, while saying there is no new policy, pointed to the existing CEZ Act, which lists the benefits available to investors. The Act offers to investors a corporate income tax headline rate of 12.5%, possible effect rate of 7.5% with the approval of additional tax credits. Income tax can therefore be as low as 7.5%, but not as low as 0. The income tax can be reduced to 7.5% with the addition of an employment tax credit, which is an income tax credit granted to eligible employers, education tax, national insurance scheme, national housing trust, and human, employment and resource training contributions, which have been filed and paid on time. Under the Act, investors are also offered relief from income tax on rental income. The multipurpose developer or an occupant is exempted from the payment of the income tax on profits derived from rental of properties in the zone, except for rentals where the landlord, whether developer or occupant, and tenant are connected persons within the means of the Income Tax Act. Investors are also offered General Consumption Tax GCT relief. GCT is a value added tax enacted on the supply of goods and services within Jamaica. As a benefit to the developer or occupant, goods and services entering for use of the zone, including electricity and telephone services supplied to the zone, are subjected to no GCT. A capital allowance is available for taxpayers to get tax relief on their tangible capital expenditure by permitting it to be deducted against their annual taxable income. There is also customs duty relief which is offered to investors. The duty is payable on imported goods and is assessed based on the type of item and cost of the goods imported. It is available on goods and items imported into the zone. For the investors, it says there is also an exemption of 50% of stamp duty payable on instruments used for the purchase, lease or other acquisition of land for the use as a zone by the developer. There is additionally an exempted of 100% of stamp duty payable on instructions used for the sale or lease of land by the developer to occupants or zone users in connection to the development or operation of the zone. Investors are additionally offered relief from transfer tax, which involves the passing of title property from one person or entity to another. A developer is exempted from transfer tax payable under the Act on the Sale of Land by the developer for the purposes of use in the development or operation of the zone. Finally, an investor is also offered promotional tax credit, R&D and training, a promotional tax credit in an amount equal to the developer's or occupant's expenditure and R&D and training, up to a maximum which is equal to 10% of the tax on the developer's or occupant's chargeable income. At last report, the government of Jamaica earned $381 million from cess entities in June 2020. As of March 2020, there were a total of 134 approved free zone entities, representing 98%, which had transitioned to the new cess regime. Another 52 new cess developers who entered into licensing agreements with the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority brought the complement of cess entities to 183 up to that time.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.